Welcome to episode 52 of Are You Mad at Me?
52 weeks.
I'm Vickie Morgan.
I'm Josh Morgan.
And so this is a whole year of doing our podcast. We started off talking about self-publishing and marketing, and now we don't know what the hell is going to happen. It could be just about anything.
Yeah, who knows?
But we are also recording, we're doing this on TikTok Live again because it went really well last week and we had hundreds of viewers, which is more than we have on our podcast. So we're going to try to grow it. So if you're just joining us for the very first time on TikTok, we put a brand new book out this year. It's called How to Be a Famous Sexy Writer. And that's me on the cover with no shirt.
That's me on the cover.
Nice. And it's a guide to self-publishing. And it's everything that I knew up to that point about self-publishing. And then Josh was doing a graphic design work term. And so he did 3 other books. We broke it up into 3 books. It was everything I knew about self-publishing paperbacks and self-publishing eBooks. And it's called a Bare Bones Guide and a Bare Bones Guide to Marketing Self-Published Books. So you can get all of these on literally all the platforms. It's on Barnes & Noble, Indigo, Smashwords, Overdrive, Amazon.
All the places.
And it's in all different formats, eBooks, audiobooks, and paperbacks.
And again,
so it's all there. It'll tell you how to do it for free.
For the people on TikTok and for the people on the podcast, we are, again, doing this 2 ways this week.
Yeah.
We have the podcast, that happens every Wednesday at 8 a.m.
Yes.
And then, but we're doing a TikTok Live again. So hello, folks on TikTok.
Hello, folks. Oh, I love that.
Hello, TikTok folks.
Hello, Nate Land fans.
Yeah. So
we're big fans also.
So we're going to be referring to the phone and the camera at various points of the show. So this is episode 52, once a week for 52 weeks, and I've been told that is a full year.
Well, it's a big milestone.
Is it?
Most podcasts don't make it past 8 episodes, so I think we're doing pretty good.
I've heard of people doing podcasts. What was that?
I've heard of
Mr. Simpson.
Would you like some moist tellets, sir?
I've heard of people doing podcasts like once a month or like once a quarter or whatever. Like
but they don't get trophies.
They don't get trophies. Like
trophies. #1 podcast in Canada in self-publishing and marketing.
Yeah,
so there you go.
So here we are.
That could be you pretty easily.
Weekly. And it's been 52 weeks.
Yep.
Or as they say here in Canada, the metric year.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Kilometers and all that. Yeah. So we're dual citizens, if you didn't know. Well, Josh mostly is. I am a full-fledged dual citizen, American
Vickie
and Canadian.
And our kids are American and Canadian citizens, the whole shebang. They got 2 separate passports, and the boys even got little certificates because they were born in the U.S. And while we were in the U.S., you could kind of just send away and get a form. You got to attach you got to attach 6 proof of purchases for Fruit Loops cereal,
and you get a free Kool-Aid cup.
So we have certificates.
You're such a dick.
6 maple syrup.
You American bastard. Proof of purchase.
A self-addressed stamped envelope to.
You just had to cut the
Prime
UPC
Minister,
off their diapers.
47 Canada Boulevard.
Good Lord.
Toronto, which is the capital of Canada, Toronto. So anyway, the boys are dual citizens. Vickie's dual citizen.
Our kids are homeschooled. God help us.
I am an American citizen, if you couldn't tell, and also a permanent resident here in Canada.
Yes,
so
congratulations.
I cannot vote. Here.
Yeah, and we're not really sure yet.
If you want
if anybody's watching from the consulate, please don't judge his eligibility for citizenship.
I love Tim Hortons. I don't like the Americans. Is that why? Is that how we're judging the Canadian?
Name a Great Lake.
A Great Lake
that you haven't heard about in a Blue Rodeo song.
Holmes.
What?
That's how you remember the Great Lakes. Huron, Ontario, Michigan, Erie, and Superior. Boom.
Which ones are in Canada, though?
That's the trick question. They're all in the United States, in the Gulf of America.
We just went right off the rails. All right, so we're going to talk about self-publishing a little bit, but then we're going to move on to other things because we put a year into self-publishing, and if you don't know how to do it by now, go back and start listening from the beginning because we have covered literally everything.
Never know me.
Yes, it's copyright, patent pending on that one.
I keep trying to get our episodes banned from copyright infringement.
We started off a year ago. We started off talking about, it was kind of like one of those things we were betting the idea around and saying, we should do a podcast because we had radio shows called the Mulberry Creek Hour, and I did a mental health show called Ounce of Prevention, and we talked about I interviewed people and they told us I keep saying us. Okay. I did a show on mental health. And one of them, we did 3 seasons. We did 2 in the United States on public stations, and then we did 1 here in Canada, and all 3 of them were broadcast on like Rogers and Eastlink and all those things. And so we might do some more of those. We're kind of thinking about branching out and putting this show back onto public access because I'm a PEG media producer. And so we're thinking about taking these episodes because we just celebrated Self Publishing Month back in October, and we had, I think, 75 people sign up to be guests on Are You Mad at Me podcast. So I'm going to be reaching out to them in the next couple of weeks to get them scheduled and have those interviews. So if you're watching the Are You Mad at Me podcast or listening on Spotify or Apple or
next year's going to be bonkers.
Well, it's going to be a lot of artists and writers and musicians talking about their creative process and how they work as indie artists, how they find funding, how they make money, how they
What's your writing process?
Mine?
No, that's the
kind of questions you'll hear. Tune in next week when you'll hear
I'm not
Rocky.
Just randomly asking you a question while you're talking.
Now here's something we hope you'll really like. So I think the next year is going to be a lot of guests. It's going to be guest heavy, but we're also going to have lots of our old stuff. So basically, if you're just joining us, if this is your first episode of Are You Mad at Me, what we did over the first 51 episodes, yes, welcome. We talked about we tried everything. We tried all these different ways to sell books and let people know about our books and let people get to know us. And we do work as self-publishing consultants. So we can help you get your files ready. We do not publish, just so you know. We don't publish anybody's books.
We're not a publishing company. We're not a vanity press.
Right.
We're not any of that stuff.
We can help you get your files ready so that you can self-publish. And you can put your files. Turns out, I was only using Amazon up until we published How to Be a Famous Sexy Writer, which
teaches you how to publish on Amazon.
Everything you need to know, and you can publish your book. This book is $19 on Amazon and all the platforms.
How to Be a Famous Sexy Writer. In case you didn't see that on the TikTok channel, for the folks listening to the podcast, I'm just holding it up so you can see the picture, so you know what you're looking for on Amazon.
Mm-hmm. And it's in all 3 formats, and you can get it on all the platforms. And it will tell you step by step. You can have your self-published book in your hands in a month.
We talked about
days.
this last week, but we had a guy come on the open book back in at the end of October, and he had bought Vickie's book, How to Be a Famous Sexy Writer, and read through the whole thing, published his book on Amazon, and like a month later, he had copies of his book in his at a signing and a reading, and he was on stage reading from his book that he had published. It was pretty great.
Yep. And so we also had somebody come out last year who had a manuscript, 82 years old. He brought out a manuscript, read from it, and we helped him get his files ready so he could self-publish. And so he went ahead and published. We worked as consultants with him. So the option is there. Yeah. You could also look up everything on Google and take 4 years or 5 years to get your first book out like I did. Or you can go the easier route and get people to help you with it. Why am I talking about that?
We're just plugging the book.
So with those exact same files, you can publish on Barnes & Noble Press. You can go to Draft to Digital and put it on like hundreds of platforms. And so you get all these little residual checks, little royalty checks coming from all these different platforms.
And here's something that fascinates me. Like, you can go to Amazon KDP, put your book on there, like publish it through Amazon KDP, and they have a print on demand service. So somebody in Alberta wants to buy your book, they go on Amazon.ca and they get a copy of your book. Amazon prints it and they send it to them, one copy. There's not like a big warehouse full of your books. You don't have to hold 50,000 copies in your basement. Same thing with Barnes & Noble Press. Like, it's the exact same thing, but it's a U.S. company. So if there's somebody, some people don't like Amazon, or some people are in the U.S. and they want to use Barnes & Noble because that's the bookstore that I grew up with, going to all the time. I like Barnes & Noble. But they have a print on demand also. So if you put all your book information on Barnes & Noble Press, they'll do a print on demand. They'll print off one copy, send it to somebody in Montana, and is that right next to Alberta? Did I just say two? Anyway,
they're pretty close.
So I'm fascinated by the idea that like there's a big company that'll just print off one copy of your book and mail it off to somebody for you.
They'll also handle all the payments, all the mailing, all the taxes, all that stuff. You got to fill it out. It's a little tiny bit tricky in the beginning. You got to do the tax interview. You got to let them know how much tax to take out. If you're in Canada, it's none, but you got to fill out the form. You got to put in your banking information, which is a little scary. I know these times are a little crazy right now. You got to make sure you're on the right website. But you do have to put in your banking information. And the only thing all they can do with that is pay you. They can't take money out of your bank account when you put that in. in. And then the other thing is ISBNs. ISBNs are a little bit tricky. If you're in Canada, they're free, and you got to go through Libraries and Archives Canada. But you can get like 1 or 10 or 100. It's no big deal. Like if you want to publish a book in Canada, you're off to the races. If you're in the United States, however, you do have to go through Bowker, and it's $125 per ISBN. It's a little more expensive. Well, it's very expensive. But again, you do need them if you're going to do an ebook or an audiobook or a paperback. You can also do it for free and get the Amazon numbers, but then your book is only on Amazon, so you can't put it on any of the other platforms. These are all things that I learned this summer after I published a guide to self-publishing. Kind of funny. I found out about all these other platforms, and so now and there's another place called something Republic, Authors Republic, where you can put your audiobook on there and it will distribute everywhere. You can also go directly through Apple if you have an Apple device. If you don't have an Apple device, there's a whole lot of like blocks and barriers and obstacles in the software. So it's really difficult if you don't have an Apple device to put your stuff on Apple. But you can go through Drafted Digital, click on the box that says Apple, and your stuff's on Apple. It's that easy. Great. So all these little checks are coming in. I'm not saying I'm making millions of dollars or anything. They're small checks, but they're coming in from all these different platforms. You can put your book on Etsy. You can put an audiobook and an ebook on Etsy. Now that's not in the guide. The guide is only for Amazon, and it's got some marketing ideas. But if you want us to help you with those other things...
There might be a new guide eventually.
There might be. But I can help you do all those things. And you can find my book on literally any platform now. You said Barnes & Noble's American. Amazon is actually American.
True, yeah. That's
Indigo is another platform.
I get so focused on Amazon.ca and...
So Indigo is your Canadian bookstore. That's your Kohl's and your Chapters and those things. And you can publish on Indigo through Drafted Digital. You can also... There's a platform that you can go through that charges you like $75 per project, so per ebook and per paperback. But if you go through Drafted Digital, it's got all the stuff listed, and you can just check the boxes and say, yes, I want it on Overdrive, and I want it on Smashwords, and I want it on whatever, and it's all totally free. So there are ways to publish your book. So let's say you're writing a manuscript. Now, it's a little bit of a pain. It's easier if you use Microsoft Word. I'll tell you that up front. You can get the free version through Microsoft 365. It doesn't have all the bells and whistles, but you can use it, and you can use the templates from KDP, Kindle Direct Publishing. When that's all done, you can take that file and put it on all the other platforms. So it shouldn't cost you anything. It really shouldn't. And then as far as learning it, you can Google all the stuff. You don't even need to... Now, I'll tell you, the book that has all the stuff in it is $19. The other books are $10 a piece, or you can get the ebook for $5. I mean, so you're sitting right now, $5 is what's standing between you and having a published book in your hands in 30 days.
Yeah. And it does. It works. So I just want to say, for those of you that are on the TikTok Live, people do actually tune in randomly. So
yes,
this is the Are You Mad at Me podcast. And
this is the behind-the-scenes recording of the Are You Mad at Podcast.
We're recording a podcast. We do one every week. We got another camera over here that we use for the podcast. We're just doing a TikTok Live this week because it's fun.
Yes. And so we're at episode 52. We've done this every single week for a year. We've had a very successful self-publishing month in October where we partnered with the Arts and Culture Center, had an open book event. We had 20 authors come out and read from their books. We had 2 self-publishing boot camps at the Arts and Culture Center Library, at the A.C. Hunter Library. And we are planning on taking those boot camps across Newfoundland and across Canada. So if you'd like to have an open book event in your town, get in touch with us at Are You Mad at Me? You can go get us through the podcast. You can get me through TikTok. You can get me through anywhere. So if you're listening to the podcast itself, you might be noticing she's doing a lot of marketing. She's not talking about her personal problems this week. It's because we're going to ramp up we're going to do TikTok lives because we got a whole lot of listeners and a lot more followers last week and a lot of questions. So this is the whole point of doing the podcast. As much as I love building the community and getting to know everybody, it is for marketing. Yeah. It is to let people know that we are self-publishing consultants and that we have books available. We also have our first self-published book, I'll tell you. We published our first one in 2018. It's called For the Grace of Joe, and it's about trisomy 13. Kind of a downer, bit of a sad one, I gotta say. Pretty sad, a little tiny bit of funny in there because I'm pretty,
some dark humor.
There's some dark humor in there, which is how we survived losing our middle son. And then the next one we published a few years after that is called How to Fail at Documentary Filmmaking. And if you like Alan Doyle, you're going to like this book because it's mostly Alan Doyle stories, who I love, who has a brand new book coming out. I don't know the name of it, but I know he's got a brand new book on the market. I think it's called I don't remember. Anyway, you can check him out. He's going to be
at Alan Doyle. You'll find it.
Look up Alan Doyle.
Yeah.
He's got a brand new book out, so you can get it for people for a Christmas present. You could send me a Christmas present. I would love to have Alan's new book, but I am going to see him on the 28th. He's going to be at the Avalon Mall here in St. John's, Newfoundland. So Alan, I'm coming to see you. And I might even ask Alan to sign a copy of my book because he is on the front and back, and he's in many of the pages. So I don't know if he knows this book exists yet. So that's going to be kind of a tricky. That's going to be an interesting reunion because I haven't seen him. Oh my God, it's been at least a year since I saw Alan. So anyway, How to Fail at Documentary Filmmaking is about our adventure when we tried to make a show here in Newfoundland during the pandemic. And we actually made 2 shows. We made one called How to Fail at Accessibility, and I made one called How to Fail at Documentary Filmmaking, which was about my career so far as a filmmaker. And it was all the mistakes and stuff that had gone wrong and all the funding things that went wrong and the batteries not working and interviews that went wrong.
And the whole story's in the book.
And they rejected it, they hated it, and they turned it down flat. And so that, technically, wink wink, is a fiction novel. And all the names, most of the names have been changed, except for Alan Doyle's, because I want you to know I'm friends with Alan Doyle. And these are the most recent. These are the guides to self-publishing. So This has been 52 weeks in a row. Josh is our producer, of course. He does all the editing. He does all the clips and promos for afterwards. Really great podcast producer, fantastic audio engineer.
Thank you.
He also did a lot of recording for our album. We have a Mulberry Creek album that's out as well. You'll hear that on the podcast. That's the beginning. That was the first song that we released as Mulberry Creek with Corey Tetford.
Yeah, Garden Party.
Garden Party is the theme, and Spotify keeps dinging it and saying this is copyrighted. Like, yeah, we know.
Yeah, they're like, we have blocked your this episode because of a copyright infringement, and I'm like, it's our song. How do you? Yeah. Like, and then they sort it out, and they're like, okay, we released that episode, and then the next week
it's the same.
We blocked this episode because it's the theme song. It's going to be on every episode. Like, just stop blocking. I give blanket permission.
Well, it was fine for the first 47 episodes.
Yeah, and then they just started going nuts.
Yeah, and so anyway,
I want to say you mentioned you made a joke earlier about not being sure about which websites are safe and stuff.
Yeah,
I saw a thing the other day that was somebody had gotten an email from Microsoft.com. But it was a scam email. It was, instead of Microsoft.com, it was RN instead of the M at the beginning.
Yep.
So it was RN Microsoft.
Yep.
So it looked like with the R and the N right next to each other, it looked like you had to really pay attention.
Yep.
I don't believe anything online anymore.
So generally speaking, be careful.
I mean, Amazon, like so
that's you're not going on.
I'm saying that's a separate thing.
I did have somebody get in touch and say, I went on the Amazon site and someone named Heather was asking me questions like, okay, you're not going on Amazon.
Yeah, what are you doing?
It's Kindle Direct Publishing. That's the publishing company that handles all the Amazon stuff. So you're not going to Amazon.ca or Amazon.com.
Yeah.
You're going to Kindle Direct Publishing. They will handle your paperback and your ebook that goes on Kindle. If you want your audiobook on Amazon, then you're going to ACX, which is the Audio Creation Exchange, ACX. And so I'll also tell you about your audiobook stuff. Josh did all of my the technical stuff, like the editing of the files after I recorded the audiobook. ACX has all the requirements there to tell you what your noise floor needs to be and your dBs and your blah, blah, blah. And there's got to be like a few seconds of silence before and after each chapter begins and ends. And you have to have like you have to actually say the end at the end of the book. You have to introduce it and say everything that's on the cover, all that stuff. So all those requirements are on the ACX website, and that's how you end up on Amazon.
So you just Google Amazon ACX audio requirements, and you get all that stuff.
That's going to put your book on Audible, which is part of Amazon, and you can get all 3 of your books listed together on your book listing. And there's also a thing called A+ content, which we discovered just this summer, where you can put a whole bunch of stuff. So like when there's like suggested reading or suggested purchases at the bottom of your Amazon cart, like when you buy something or put something in,
like the big graphic details about
you can actually have something that shows up that tells people what you like, where your author website is, or what other products you have available.
Or a quote if you have from somebody, or a review.
If you have merch available, if you have T-shirts with with a quote from the book, or like I have Famous Sexy Writer T-shirts. That's all stuff that you can put on. But those files that you use for ACX, Kindle, and paperbacks, you can use on Draft to Digital, Authors Republic, Etsy, what's the other one? It sounds like Etsy, Pinterest, Google. You can be on Google Play Books, you can be on Apple Books, all of them, and you can do all of them individually. Or
pretty much anywhere you get ebooks.
or paperbacks. Barnes and Noble Press is brand new.
Yep.
And you can print your book on demand. You can do one copy at a time. And they handle all the back end of it. They handle all the administration. And I don't work for any of them. And the checks, like the royalties, just so you know, they do take a cut. But if you go to a publisher, like let's imagine you just finished your manuscript, okay? You just be guy on the street that just finished his manuscript, okay? All right, I'll be a big, mean publisher. Hey, give me that book. All right, we're going to go sell this and pay all of our office salaries, and we're going to do marketing for about 2 weeks for you, and then you're in the bin with the rest of them. You're in with the other 20 books that we published this year. Here's 5% of the cover price every time we sell one of your books. Sounds ridiculous, right? If you self-publish, it's between 30 and 90% of your cover price. Just so you know, if you're interested in money, I know you're probably so wealthy, that's not even a concern for you. I don't even need money. I just do this because I love writing. Good for you. For the rest of the plebes out here in the world that are trying to, pay for cans of beans to heat up over the fire, the open barrel fire under the bridge, if you like money, self-publishing is going to put more money in your pocket.
I want to say, we're talking about all the different platforms. There's also the physical legwork that you can do, and going out of your house and going into places. You can go into bookstores and say, I have this book, can you sell it on consignment? And a lot of times a bookstore will say, yeah, we love local artists or authors, and they'll take 5 or 6 or 10 of your books, and they'll give you a little form and says, we have 10 books. And then when they sell them, they'll give you a percentage of what they sell it for.
They'll send you little tiny checks.
Consignment's great, because then you go, like people will go and they'll say, hey, I saw your book in a bookstore the other day.
So probably a lot of people don't know about this part of it, but you can buy author copies. When you publish on Barnes & Noble or on Amazon, you can order author copies, and they only charge you the printing price. So books that are like about 100 pages are about $3. Books that are 200 pages, they're about $4. And you might pay an extra $1 for shipping, but then they're yours, and however much you sell them for in person. Like say you're a psychic medium and you want to have something you're doing a seminar, and you're going to have 15, 20, 30 people come in, and you're going to do readings in the room. At the end of the seminar, they're going to want to leave with a copy of your book because they want a piece. This is it. This is your marketing. This is your business card.
Yep.
They're going to buy your book in person. So if you've paid $5 to get that book in that room, you can sell it for 20 or 25 or 30, and that's pure profit to you. So author copies, that's also what you're going to send. That's what you're going to bring into bookstores, and they'll sell them on consignment. And you can also send author copies to other locations. So if I want to send books out to like Cornerbrook, Kohl's, like the Kohl's in Cornerbrook, for example, I can just get in touch with the store manager and ask them if they want those out on consignment, and I can just have 5 copies delivered to them from Amazon without laying a hand on anything. It'll just arrive, and the checks just show up. It's great. Yeah. It's really great.
There's a lot of good, and it's all like, buy the book, go on Google, go on Reddit, join subreddits about self-publishing and KDP and stuff, and there's tons of information out there.
So something to consider too, if you're in Canada, is that you can apply for arts funding as a writer, and you can get paid. Basically, you can get a grant while you're writing, because writing is also art. So there's probably provincial agencies, and there's federal agencies. There's Canada Council for the Arts that you can apply to do arts projects, and there's also provincial funding for every province in Canada has an arts organization that you can apply to, where as an emerging artist, you're eligible for a few $1,000 while you're working on a book. So if you're thinking about writing and you're like, oh, I couldn't possibly take time off work, or I couldn't whatever, and I'll have to make all this money just to, like, yes, there's always going to be a million excuses, but there's also a million reasons to give it a shot and write your book, because it feels really good to have something published. So we're actually at that stage right now where we are in funding time. So we're writing a lot of grant applications. We're very excited about it because we have some really good ideas that we want to do in the year coming up.
Yep.
I think we've been talking about, I'd say for about 18 of the 19 years we've been together. We're married, by the way. For the 18 of those years, I'm sure at least 18 years, we've been talking about one of these days getting an RV and going across Canada. And I think we're about this close to it right now. Like, we're very, very close to that. That's the next step. Because now we have an actual product we can take on the road, and we can do workshops as we're going across Canada. So we put a bunch of Canada Council grant applications in. We put in Arts NL applications. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on. So we're really hoping to get across Canada this year. So we're heading to we're looking at 15 cities next year that we're going to visit in the spring, and we're going to take the self-publishing boot camps to those places.
Yep.
And I think we're going to do open book events in those cities as well. And I think the open book is going to expand to include some music. because you can open up your songbook as well. And I'm not brave enough to open up the joke book. I'm not quite ready yet to do comedy, but because I just lost my mom a couple of weeks ago, and I'm still trying to find, like, I don't find anything funny quite yet. So I do want to get back to writing some comedy stuff. I love doing stand-up, but I think the open book might encompass comedy, music, and writing at some point when we get out on the road and as it goes. So I think for the first year, we're going to try 15 cities between here and Victoria, BC.
Well, we did add music to this open book night.
We actually had it at the first one as well, because I played.
Oh, that's right. Year. You did play music there too.
So I think we're going to expand it a little bit. And I'm not sure if it's going to be two separate events or if we're going to sandwich them together and have like the first half be books, or if we're going to mix it up or whatever. But it's a great way to share what you're doing. And it's the indie way. Like, there's lots of people working under labels. There's a whole lot of people that they're very fortunate and they have agents and managers and all those things. But for the other, for the rest of us, I have a song actually that I wrote called Loser Anthem. It's for all the others, for everybody else, for all the people that if we had figured out in high school that there was so many of us and like the cool table.
There's only a few of them. We
had a pretty nice group of people that were popular in high school, but they were still like, kind of the rich kids. They were they all hung out together and they had parties and whatever. But I think the rest of us didn't realize there was 90% of us that made up the rest of the population, and we didn't realize there was a whole bunch of us that were just, kind of on the fringe. But the fringe was huge. It was like an egg in the middle. Like, imagine like the little yolk, and then there's this big, massive, the white stuff. There was a lot of the. I'm off the rails.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, indie is the way to go. It really is a lot of fun. If you like having control over your creative stuff,
right?
When you put a book out, if you'd like to have the rights in case it's made into a movie or a documentary, or, you want to make a play out of it or something like that, it's way easier if you own all the rights. And it's easier to put your book out when you want to put it out if you're not under a publishing house.
Yep.
Now, if you're fortunate enough that a publishing house wants your book, by all means, enjoy your 5 to 10% off your cover price. It's going to be awesome. And congratulations, they're probably going to put a Christmas poster out, and you're going to be this big in a big poster of the 20 books they put out that year. If you can't tell, I'm talking from the trenches. I've talked to a lot of authors who are going the self-publishing route because they don't want to be locked into traditional publishers, mostly because the traditional publishing, most of the money goes towards administrative salaries and marketing salaries and promotion salaries, and you're not going to get that stuff. You have to promote your own book. That's just the reality of things in the publishing world right now. So if you're going to have to do all of it anyway, maybe more money should be going in your pocket. And it might mean a little bit more of an upfront investment. But people that we've helped publish are making their money back hand over fist. So it's not an issue.
Yeah, that's true.
And it depends on how much you want to invest in yourself. If you see it as a creative thing and you're hoping that somebody's going to come along and give you a bouquet of flowers and say, congratulations, you're such a pretty, beautiful butterfly. Yeah, But if you treat it like a business, it's going to be a different experience for you, because it is a business. This is how you're letting people into your heart, how you're sharing your heart with the world, and it's how they get to know you. And of course, if you're willing to do a podcast, which also will cost you $0. If you're willing to let people talk about, like, if you want to have guests on your podcast, or if you want to just talk about what you talk about in your book or whatever, podcasts are the number one way to get into people's ear holes and let them get to know you and figure out if they should trust you or not.
That's true. Yeah. It's easy, and it can be free.
It can be free. Yeah. Or if you don't want to learn how to do podcasting. Okay, so just imagine you have an idea for a podcast. Okay, first of all, most podcasts do not make it past 8 episodes because people get bored of their own voice and they think they run out of things to talk about. And maybe their listenership isn't there and you're only got 5. It's only your, couple of creepers that are listening to you and maybe 3 friends, and you're not even sure if they're really listening. If you can stick with it, it is the number one way to market any business whatsoever, whether you're an expert in ceramic floor tiles or in beekeeping or in hair, whatever, coloring hair, making clothes, whatever it is, your coffee beans. Maybe you're a really good coffee bean roaster dude person, whatever.
It's a good way for people to get to know you, and then they want to be more, they feel more invested and want to buy your product.
So just imagine you're running the Battery Cafe here in St. John's on Duckworth Street. It's number 1 Duckworth Street, and it's a beautiful little spot, and they have lots of really indie music nights, poetry nights, storytelling, all that stuff. But imagine you own a Battery Cafe, and you're, we're in a tourist town. We're in St. John's, Newfoundland. And so imagine you want to let people know about your awesome coffee. Maybe you have the best coffee beans on the planet. If you have a podcast, imagine the people you could reach who might be coming to Newfoundland next summer or next fall or next Christmas or whatever. Like, it's why would I go to Tim Hortons instead of your coffee shop?
Right.
If I know you're a great little spot and there's going to be indie, like, I love Tim Hortons. I don't mean anything against, I like hockey players and stuff too, but, and I love donuts. But if you are putting yourself out there in the market and you're letting people know, I love coffee and this is why I want to give coffee to people, because it makes their day better and it makes them feel good, and I had bad coffee for years and then I found this good whatever, this particular bean from wherever. But if I don't know that story, I'm going to go to the quicker spot. I'm going to go through the Tim Hortons drive-through, and that's going to be my day. But if you're positioning yourself and letting people know, why would you hire Vickie and Josh to do your graphic design and your formatting, as opposed to a vanity press that's coming in and saying, hey, if you give me $10,000, I'll do it. Like, this is it. If people don't know, then they're going to go with whatever is popping up on their screen and flashing the brightest, right? So this is a way for people to get to know you. Podcasting, number one way. And I learned that from Jenna Kuchar, who started off like with, I don't know, she's got a whole great story, but that's her whole thing. And she's got all these free workshops that she offers for free a lot. Like, it pops up in the feed, and Tony Robbins does the same sort of stuff. And I've seen Jenna Kuchar on Tony Robbins stuff a lot too. But her whole deal is that she started recording her podcast in like a closet in her house. And then it grew and grew and grew. And now she's got like the number one podcast in business in something, something, something. She's like a master at Pinterest. But it's all because she gave it away for free and people got to know her. And so now she's a trusted brand. She's a household name, and her podcast is massive. And she's got a bunch of sponsors, and she makes a living from podcasting.
You know, I had a thought while you were saying that what would be a great podcast idea for the Battery Cafe. They're down at the bottom of Signal Hill, where Cape Spear is, and people hike that loop up Signal Hill and then back around the cliffs. That like circle is really popular. What did I say?
It doesn't go to Cape Spear. Signal Hill.
Cabot Tower.
Cabot Tower.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Signal Hill, Cabot Tower, and then the loop. Yeah. So people do that all the time, and the Battery is like right down at the bottom corner of the teardrop circle. So like if they did like a podcast, or if they like interviewed people as they were hiking. You know what I mean? And then you come in and you see what kind of drink you're going to have after your hike. If you're going to get like a hot coffee, or if you're going to get like a cold drink or something.
They've got desserts.
That'd be really fun.
Too.
I'm gonna talk to Rob, the owner of the Battery. And
well, maybe we should go down and do our podcast on location down there for a little bit and have coffee. Like I bet you Rob would love that if we were down in the cafe and had our guests come down and join us down there in person. Like we could do a whole touristy thing. And Rob, we've played there so many times. He does an open mic once a month. He does like a storytelling thing. He does a poetry night. He does jazz nights. There's lots of indie musicians. Our albums are available down in the cafe. But we've all been there. Like, it's really a great little spot, and it's a cozy little thing, and there's lots of gluten-free options, and there's decadent desserts, and the coffee's delicious, and it's just a really nice little spot, and a beautiful view of the harbor.
This has really turned into some good marketing for the Battery Cafe.
Just the idea that this is as a marketing consultant, this is what you do. You say to somebody, why is your thing special?
Yeah.
And you let that person talk about it. We've known Rob for a few years now, and we spend a lot of time at the Battery Cafe. So I think I know, that's what I would do. That's what I would advise him to do. Yeah, so if say you're beekeeping, like we went to my friend's house a couple of weeks ago, and she has bee boxes in her backyard. She's got like 50,000 bees in each one, and there's like 5 bee boxes. And you'd have to experience it to really, I'll talk about it, but when I walked onto her property, like, it felt like every cell in my body was vibrating at like just this harmonious frequency. And she said, yeah, that's a thing that bees do. There's like a sound bath when you're around bees that, it's just the frequency that they're on. And there's actually, so we've been hearing, I'm getting all this stuff in my feed now, that there are places you can go that actually do bee therapy. There's a frequency that they're set at. It's actually therapeutic for people with PTSD. I didn't know that until I went down and experienced it. So if I was Nancy and I wanted people to know about this, she could make a ton of money just letting people sit in her yard.
Yeah, right.
Because it's a PTSD.
A bee retreat.
It would be a retreat. Oh, there you go. Right? But she also knows all this stuff about bee behavior, and she has all these bee mentors that tell her, like, she's learning from people that have more experience than her, and she's also really knowledgeable. But like all those things combined, Like, what a great podcast. Like, can you imagine a podcast opening up with the sound of bees buzzing in a box? What a beautiful intro.
Awesome.
So there you go. See, we should do a podcast from Nancy's backyard also.
Let's do it. Let's just start traveling around doing the podcast.
Podcasting's the way to go. And that's been the dream, is to not only the RV, but now that we have a solid foundation for our podcast, taking this on the road and interviewing people in person. Someone reached out to me just the other day and said, I'm having coffee with this person. She's a songwriter. She just wrote a children's book and she's in New Brunswick. Like, oh, we're headed to New Brunswick. So I can interview her over a Zoom call, or I'll just wait till I get there and talk to her in person, because it's more you go from URL to IRL. Right?
Nice.
That's the thing, because we all got locked in our houses during the pandemic, and it's really that energy that you're exchanging when you talk to somebody in person is pretty important.
Yeah.
It's, it sustains us. Like, this is the community. We build our own communities now. We're not really in those, we're not centered anymore where like the families are helping raise the kids. It's you're all spread out and stuff. So it's a good way to keep in touch with people. I've been talking a lot. I'm going to throw it over to you.
Hey,
what do you want to talk about?
I got literally nothing to say. I just thought I'd see how.
I just want to see how long he'd let it go there.
It's I'm excited about like this. This has been a full year of the Are You Mad at Me podcast, and I'm excited to see what the next year of it's going to look like, because we got lots of people lined up to do interviews and other authors to meet from all around the world. Yeah. Like, we got people that are.
I'm excited to hear people's creative process.
Yeah.
Because right now I'm in kind of a lull where I just I have a bunch of project ideas. So here was basically the last 3 or 4 months of my life. In August, I went to my high school reunion, and it completely changed my life. Like, I don't know if I'm having a midlife crisis or what, but like something about that big 30-year, there was balloons at a 3 and a 0, and it was like blinking at me, I swear. And it was like, what about all those things that you wanted to do that, how long more are you going to wait? And then if that wasn't enough to jar me, then September hit, and my mom was in on life support in ICU, and then she died and passed away in October. So there's been a lot of tumultuous. This has been a wild year, actually. The whole year has been. I can't believe we've done a podcast this every single week. And
I think it's been like a place to come back to every week and sit and debrief.
Yep.
And
Yep. I forget what I was going to say.
You were talking about finding out
the projects. Yeah.
Go ahead.
The projects that we're working on right now, I'm kind of in like so I had all these ideas, which is a really great place to be creatively, to have like ideas flowing and, wanting to work on projects. But then as a Canadian, there's all these projects that are eligible for funding. So like you can get help with like renting space to do it, hiring actors, hiring technicians and all those things, having like a professional table read. I'm writing a play. I'm actually I think it might be a musical. I've got a couple of songs to go with it. So I'm trying to figure out how many songs need to go in a musical, and like what
the
actually
format.
And then as much as I was like, oh, I don't know anything about musicals, like when I was in a musical when we first met, I was in the Grinch at the LSPU hall, and we did
a ton of those shows
in 2 different years. We did like 19 shows in 15 days, 2 different years. It was a musical. Like, we knew the songs, and there's the dialogue that goes in between, so the structure of it, it's not that foreign. Like,
and we can watch a lot of musicals because I love them. So we can watch like The Sound of Music. And
I don't know if I have enough songs to make this into. So it might be like a mini musical, but that's what I'm working on. And so that kind of fun, like that's eligible for some Canada Council, from some Arts NL. There's a whole bunch of different things that's eligible for, and it's just to get the space, just to make sure I can hire people and pay them a fair wage, like a free artist, or a fair and equitable artist rate, which is really, like, I have lots of friends who'll do it for free or as a volunteer, but that's not really fair, because you're offering your talent to make something I'm doing look good, so you deserve to be paid. And so that's why those funding agencies are in place, is to make sure artists are getting paid fairly, and that we can sustain it, that we can keep creating that fabric of the culture of Newfoundland and Canada. That's why those things are there. So lots of funding applications gone in, and I'm kind of exhausted. So I'm in between writing and funding applications, and buried my mom a couple of weeks ago.
You're trying to get back to that place of creating and making new art. And
well, it's been helping me a lot to cope. Like after I lost my mom, it was like I guess you're supposed to be sad now, and there is a sadness, but there's also like all these ideas to honor her, and I feel like she's kind of helping me write, and she's very proud of what I'm doing, and that kind of feels good. That's kind of a nice thing. And it was all those things that had started just before she went in the hospital. Like, okay, so like, do we need to stop everything that we're doing? Like, what? I don't really know what the grief expectation is, of how are you supposed to take time off, or because if you, I don't really know. I'm kind of feeling it out, but I am a little bit tired. All the applications have gone out. We've applied for literally everything, and we're hoping to take a show on the road. So I'm kind of in between now, wondering if we should apply to like broadcasters to figure out if we should take the show, if there's a show of value to any of the broadcasters, because, that's kind of a thing. Like the people that are looking for content, we are able to make content as we've produced shows, we've produced TV. We still have all the equipment and all the gear and all the software and all those things. So it's like, well, if we're already doing it, if we're going to be traveling from city to city in Canada, it's just a matter of propping a camera up and, showing what the performance is and getting a little bit of background and doing these interviews and getting lots, some B-roll footage and all those things. Like, we've done all that. And so if we can take that on the road and put some content of value on a broadcaster, and there's lots of stations, there's lots of broadcasters
options, for sure.
Yep. And things that are able to integrate, like if we still do our weekly podcast that integrates a whole lot of an audience of audience members who are finding out that we're coming to town, who know what we're doing before we get there. It just all builds on itself, and it's all that ecosystem of digital creation and sharing your stories and encouraging people and empowering people to make art. And to give them the tools, whether it's coming in and doing a boot camp for self-publishing or doing songwriter sessions, to help people polish the songs that they've had in their hearts. Maybe they don't know how to play guitar yet. Maybe it's like maybe you partner somebody up with someone who plays guitar with somebody who's writing lyrics, or, there's all these things that you can kind of connect those resources.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Well, and then there's a mental health aspect of it, how good people feel when they build these communities and they're able to create things that they might not have before. So it's nice, it's a nice, fun thing to be doing. And we get to create while we're out there too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty exciting.
So we're looking forward to hitting the road.
And again, for anybody that is just recently joining us on our TikTok live, this is the Are You Mad at Me podcast. And we're recording, we do it weekly. We're recording with another camera and recording the audio. So you can find the podcast on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon, wherever you find podcasts. And we're here every week, every Wednesday.
I'm going to do something a little off the wall right now. The other day I wrote this, it was actually 2 months ago that I wrote this list. Do you want to hear what this list is?
I have no idea what you're looking at.
Here are ways, if you're enjoying the Are You Mad at Me podcast, here are ways that you can help. Here's just a list of things that we have available out there in the ether that if you want to help us, you want to know more about us, here's how you can help. Okay. We have songs that we've released. They are available at a bunch of different stations. So anything in the NCRA listing. So there's 120 community and college radio stations across the country. We are on all of those. You can also hear our songs on VOCM, Oz FM, Coast 101, and K-Rock.
And our band is called Mulberry Creek.
Yes, and we have 5 songs that are available: Jimmy Glenn, Garden Party, Lonely Strings, Loser Anthem, and Keep Doing What You're Doing. They're all songs that you can request from Mulberry Creek. And if you just want to get in touch with a local station and ask them for those songs, they will go look us up. And we'll get fives and fives of pennies from SoCan and ASCAP.
That's right.
There's also, you can go on YouTube. We have YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Spotify, and iTunes. We're on all those platforms. You can go listen, like, subscribe, comment, follow, listen, share, add us to your playlist, create a playlist, whatever you want.
So we're Mulberry Creek if you want to look up our music.
That's our band.
Any of those things.
There's also our podcast called Are You Mad at Me? We are on Spotify, YouTube. Spotify, YouTube. There's an Instagram page, iHeartRadio, Audible, and there's another one.
Apple Podcasts.
Apple Podcasts. You can like and subscribe and share. You can comment on the actual episodes. That boosts us in the algorithm, and that super helps. Super helps. I just made up a new word.
Super helps. And every week we put we release the podcast on Wednesdays, and then we usually put out one or two shorts on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. So you can find us.
So engage with those, comment, like, share. It all helps. It's a little tiny thing. It takes you just a second. It doesn't cost us anything or you, and it's helping us tremendously. You can also listen. You can see the video on YouTube at any time, and YouTube is some of the platforms like Audible and Apple and Spotify. They'll kind of say, "Hey, do you want a membership?" But YouTube is the one that is 100% free. There's a video and there's an audio, and you can look at those. You can listen or watch for free at any point. It's also free to upload your episodes on there if you're in the market for a podcast. And if you need your podcast edited or whatever the stuff is, that technical stuff or whatever, or you need somebody to put the things in the place, Josh is your guy. You can record it. You can rent stuff from a local music store for like few dollars for the whole month. You can record a bunch of episodes. You can record one a month, whatever. But you can send those files to us digitally, and Josh can edit. He can engineer and edit your podcast remotely. You can also send us your manuscript files, and we can format them, and Josh can design your covers. We can do all of it digitally on the road anytime. Not a problem. Anytime of day. Here are some other ways you can help. We have 21 books. Don't get intimidated. We're not that great. It's really only 7 books, but they're available in all the different formats.
Yeah.
So we have bare bones guides to self-publishing paperbacks, eBooks, and some marketing tips. They're bare bones guides. They're like $5 for the ebook, $10 for the paperback. We also have For the Grace of Joe, which is the first book we put out. That was a co-write. That was about our son that we lost to trisomy 13. That's available on all platforms, in all formats. Yep. How to Fail at Documentary Filmmaking, same thing. All formats, all the platforms. That's how you can help. If you buy a book and you enjoy it, please leave a review. It helps so much.
Yeah, those are huge on Amazon. Especially.
A lot of people, if they see a new book on a platform, if somebody has said this book is awesome, or this helped me through my grief, or this helped me laugh at myself when I made a mistake, or this helped me through a project when it flopped and I realized that it's no big deal to have something fail, it helps a lot. Or there's a couple of reviews on the How to Be a Famous Sexy Writer that actually says, I published my book using this manual, using this guide.
That's great.
And they're moving on to the teeny tiny cheesecakes recipe. So it's just one of those things. That's how you can help. And buy, review, recommend. Another thing you can do to help Josh and Vickie Morgan, you can get a library card. Mm-hmm. Go to your local library and ask them to carry one or all of our books. And they will. They'll get a copy in. So you don't actually need to pay for the books at all. You can just go get a free library card wherever you are in the United States or Canada, and you can ask for the books to be carried in your local library. Thanks to Blaine and Kim, who requested our books in Tennessee. There was a lady, I'm forgetting somebody else, but there was somebody else that got in touch and told us that she did that.
Right, yeah.
What else? You can follow us on socials. We're on all the socials. Yeah. We're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all the places.
So that's the Are You Mad at Me podcast, Mulberry Creek, the band, Vickie Morgan, the author.
So it's not just helping us. It's also, if you want to stay in touch and find out, get all kinds of free resources on how to publish your book and get lots of advice. And you'll find out what it's like to be an artist. And some days I'm sad and some days I'm happy. And some days I'm telling you, oh my God, my blah, 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 my mother-in-law's mad at me, or my beagle, whatever. There's lots of advice and lots of help and lots of fun, and we're having a good time.
And sometimes we do a whole podcast and it doesn't feel great, and we start over and do a whole new one and it feels better.
I don't know what you're talking about.
That has happened a couple times on the Are You Mad at Me podcast, and you never know about it because you only see the good one.
Right. And so it's all about what you want to put out into the world, right? Like, what do you want to perpetuate? If it's your frequency is, I'm optimistic and I'm looking forward to things, you're probably going to get more of that. Yeah. We've done lots of episodes where I'm just complaining about whatever, and I feel better about the 45-minute mark. I seem to feel better, and I don't know, people get a kick out of that too. I don't know. She's so authentic. Yeah, no, I don't know. Unbalanced is what I'd call it. Unregulated, unmedicated is what I'd call it. But we have a good time, and
we're having a good time.
We're big Dusty Slay fans too. We're even bigger Hannah Slay fans. Like that's the truth of it. Like, Hannah is back on Instagram.
You can go back and see our podcast where we had Hannah Slay as a guest.
Oh my God, she's my internet BFF. I absolutely love this woman, and so I'm so looking forward. So right now, the first road trip is we're going around Newfoundland. The next road trip I think is going to have to be across Canada just for funding reasons. But I cannot wait to get down into the United States. The timing of it might be really good because things are kind of on fire right now in the United States. So it might be good for us to just
stay here in Canada. We'll just explore Canada for a while.
We'll just look around Canada because we do homeschool. And so the kids are going to learn a whole lot about national landmarks and lots of history and traveling and restaurants in Canada. And we're going to meet all the friends that we've made over the years. We're going to go visit all of them.
That's right.
In all the various locations. So we are hoping to go from Victoria, Newfoundland to Victoria, BC in the spring. And then after that, I'm hoping to do a play/musical at the hall or maybe the rooms or something like that.
That's exciting.
So there's lots of projects that I'm excited about. And you know what? I'm hoping for funding. I'm hoping to come on here and talk about how we want to thank all these agencies that have helped us. But truth is, I'm going to do it anyway.
You're going to do it anyway.
I mean, it's going to look better if I have funding. But we're going to have a motley crew of people doing the shows anyway, even if it's just me and you and the kids doing puppets.
Listen, that's episode 52, and I want to ask, do you have any final thoughts before we finish this full year of podcasting?
I'm going to recommend it. I'm going to recommend podcasting. This is one of those things that, like, last year before we started this, there was a few friends that we'd sit around at coffee shops and stuff and say, you know, I wish we had a podcast, and well, I love listening to this person's podcast, and it was like a kind of a pipe dream. And we had radio shows and stuff that kind of kept us on a schedule. But the podcast has really been fulfilling and has definitely built a community of people that like-minded, on the same frequency, very, very positive, really, really good feedback. Lots of people writing, lots of people starting companies, really amping up their marketing and really succeeding, which we love to hear about. Like, absolutely love to hear those stories. And I think we're building something real here that, you know, feels really good. I look forward to coming in every week and sitting down in the studio, and I appreciate all the producing that you do. I just show up.
You're a great host. You make it easy.
Well, I just show up and talk for an hour, and everything, the back end of it is all you. So thank you for doing all that. But it's also the same thing with the books that we have too. Like, you are the person that handles the graphic design for the covers and the like the audiobook, all the audiobook engineering and all that stuff. I mean, the reason we have 21 books available on these platforms is, you know, a lot of it is because of you doing those things.
Teamwork. We're a good team.
We're a good team. Good compliment. Compliment with an E. I love that. So that's my final thought. Thank you for 52 weeks. This has been really, really great. I can't let another podcast go. I mean, not another one. I have a consistent streak. I just want to shout out how much I love Nate Bargatze. And I'm hoping next year, that is my goal for 2026, is I want, on our tour, I want to make sure that we have at least a couple of dates that put us in the same city as Nate Bargatze so we can be in the room. I want to be so bored when his next special comes out because I've heard the joke so many times. That's my goal, because I absolutely love him. And this past year has been up and down and up and down. And what's been consistent for me, and this is why we have Wednesday podcasts, is because Nateland comes out on Wednesdays as well. And, you know, if you can't beat him, join him. We're not trying to beat him. We're just trying to tack on. But that has kept me going. Like, his humor has been so sweet and just like cracks me up. It just speaks to my core. And so I want to make sure that I mention him in every single podcast. Yeah. Because I just love it. And I love, like, the hosts they have such a fun thing going on. And it's just really, what my favorite thing about Nateland is that when you watch from the beginning, you can actually hear the dreams developing and you can see the things happening. And it's like, oh, it's just really sweet to see. Like, he just sold out Madison Square Garden 3 different shows, and he's touring with his dad, who is like I think he's like just turned 70 or something. That's amazing to me. And like, he started out barking on the sidewalk in New York, and now he's selling out Madison Square Garden for 3 shows. I mean, this is someone, like, humble beginning, very grateful for everything that, you know, for everything. And I just find that very inspiring and just a good guidepost for me. I don't know if I'll ever be as clean as he is. Like, he's very, very clean. And that's not totally
it's a different vibe.
But I don't think, in my mind, I don't think Nate would need me to be clean for us to be best friends.
That's true. Yeah.
I think he would be fine with me just the way I am. That's what he presents. And I don't know. And there's a much better chance of meeting him if I go to his shows. I'm just saying. So at least 2 shows while we're out on tour ourselves, and hopefully we'll bump into him in a Starbucks, and I'll get him some iced coffee with milk. No, that's not the right order. It's milk with ice and ice. I don't know. I'll watch the specials again.
Iced coffee with cream.
I'm just going to hang around Starbucks, and hopefully he'll come in and he'll be like, "Oh, geez, this is weird."
You again.
Yeah, you again. He'll be so tired of seeing me that he'll be like, "Why don't you just come on tour with me next time?" Or, "Why don't you come do a podcast for us?" Or, I don't know. "Why don't you help us build Nateland, what do you call it?" He's doing a theme park. I mean, there's a comedy. In the new year, he's doing a game show, and it's called The Greatest Average American. And he's got a movie coming out next year with Mandy Moore. Yeah, I mean,
exciting stuff.
And the brand new book, which I can't recommend enough. It's called Big Dumb Eyes, and it's like my favorite book. So, next to my own, and next to Alan Doyle's. It's a good list to be on. Do you have final thoughts?
Final thoughts. Go find some bees and be nice to them and sit with them and listen to them hum.
In November.
Yeah.
In the cold
it's warm some
November
places.
rain.
That's 52
It's
episodes.
been raining here for 100 years.
Yep.
In Newfoundland.
I'm growing gills.
Yeah.
Like Kevin Costner. It's been 52 episodes of the Are You Mad at Me podcast. Thanks for tuning in on TikTok. We saw all the I can't see any of the comments or anything that's happening, but thank you for all the activity.
Yep.
And thank you for
and he's Josh Morgan.
And this is Vickie Morgan.
And thanks for listening. 52 weeks. We'll talk to you next week.
See you, folks.